I think that so that's a budgeting system, and I think that you have to decide what budgeting system works for you. And you have to know who you are in order to decide what budgeting system works for you. But the 50-30-20 rule is basically using 50% of your income for fixed expenses, using 30% for miscellaneous, and then saving 20% for your financial goals. So whether that's investing, whether it's saving, just making sure that you're setting aside percentages to achieve your best entire life financially and the fun stuff, because a lot of people don't plan for the fun stuff.
And of course it sounds like, or that is at least for a long time sort of been an industry standard or a rule that people have come to know. The tricky thing in New York City, I mean, the stats that you see repeatedly in the news is that rent, for most people living in New York City, the average person living in New York City, rent makes up half of their income. So 50% of that is already just going to rent alone. Forget the other necessities like food, transportation, etc. And so if that is your situation, how do you sort of reconcile the two?
You have to adjust accordingly. I mean, that's the only thing. If you can't make money come out of thin air, you have to adjust accordingly. Maybe cut back in other areas of your life. So maybe you don't have as much fun because you're spending more money on your housing, but you really have to just adjust the percentages to work out for your lifestyle.
Some people, I think, too, fall into this mindset where they live paycheck to paycheck, and at some point it's just sort of like, it feels like it's the reality and there's not much that's going to change, and so there isn't necessarily maybe a goal, an end goal moving forward to get out of that cycle. Are there tips that you would recommend or give for people trying to break that cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first is living within your means. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck because they're living outside of their means. And then you want to make sure you have a decent amount of money in your savings account. I say start with at least $1,000 because that can usually accommodate any general emergency, but also make sure you're getting current on your overdue bills, because some people are past due on their bills and they're not current. So getting current on your past due bills, building that emergency savings account, and then aggressively paying off your consumer debt, and then rebuild and continuing to build your savings account. Because a lot of times we're spending more money on the debt that we owe, and it makes more sense to pay your debt off than to save aggressively.